morning, good people. Yeah, you know what it is. Hard worker, scrappy, unfiltered, and sometimes unhinged football content. Hard to explain, but you know it when you see it. Doing it daily our way. I don't know what you're talking about right now. Redraft and Dynasty Fantasy Football, we got you covered. You know their defense is ranked like 31st in the NFL? NFL draft prospects and rookies? Now you know you in the right place for that.
Absolutely.
All right, then stop saying it. Then we're done. And prop bets with my man Jrich.
Count that money, man.
Now wipe the crust out of your eyes, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake your ass up with Ray G. You honestly are making absolutely no sense and you sound silly as hell. Let's get it. Good morning, good people. Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with Ray G. And for that, we are happy. We are appreciative. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tapping in early this morning. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, like the content while you're here. If you're in the building, goddamn it, hit the thumbs up button, baby. Who we got in the building? I see Dynasty Barry, Lindsey Mack, Fizzle Dollars, James, EV in the building, Marlon, Ro, Jimbo, what's going on, baby? Ty in the building, Matt Bruening here, 7 Goat Rings. Gretchen, good morning to you all. And I just got to give a shout out, Jay. I'm going to bring Jay in a second. Shout out to one of the patrons, Destination Debbie patron. She's been a patron for, a couple of years now. Lindsey Mack. Lindsey Mack, we talked about Lindsey Mack on an episode I think like last week. And we talked about her because in her fantasy league, Dynasty League, whatever it was, where she finished at, I believe it may have been last place, her punishment was to take the ACT. And Lindsey Mack got her test scores back, Jrich. I don't know if you saw in the Discord. Lindsey Mack got a 30 on her ACT, and I don't think she studied very hard for it, but she got a 30, and apparently that's pretty damn good. So, Lindsey, congratulations on getting into Yale, Harvard, Stanford, wherever you want to go. You didn't even try hard, and look, you're just super smart. So proud of Lindsey Mack. Shout out. You come be a patron, you can score high ACT scores, as well as find out some savvy Dynasty moves. Jrich, how you doing this morning? And give Lindsey Mack a shout out, baby.
I'm good, man. I didn't even know. What is the ACT out of? Never written one? Heard of it? No idea what it's about. Is it good? Is 30 good? Like, Ray, do you even know what it's out of?
Oh, bro.
I mean, good for Lindsey Mack. If she got a 30, I'm sure that's good. So like you said, if you need help with your ACTs, just talk to Lindsey Mack. Come join the Patreon. Talk to Lindsey Mack. She'll help you out. Mack. I can't say she's going to do it because I can't speak for her, but you never know. If you ask politely, maybe she'll help you out. So congrats to Lindsey Mack for that. That's awesome. The punishment, not great, but the result, not so bad. So you got to take that for sure. But good morning to everybody and the people that are joining in today.
Yep. Jay, we got a big show. There are some big news items that we would love to dive deeper into, and maybe we'll do that on Friday. Deshaun Watson, I believe 22 or 20 something.
20 of his 24 cases, yeah.
20 of the 24 cases have come to a settlement agreement. I think this means we're going to see some sort of resolution to the saga soon. Rob Gronkowski said that he's retiring from football. J.K. Dobbins apparently is going to, rumors are he's going to start the regular season on the PUP list. And this has been a hot topic in our Discord, Jay, of what you do with J.K. Dobbins at this point, right? If he's going to miss games, if he's not going to be 100% to start the season, like, what do you want? What are our expectations in Dynasty? Hot topic. I'm seeing Michael Gallup in the news. You said Chris Godwin's in the news. There's rumor mills about Godwin. Treylon Burks starting off as the wide receiver 3 in Tennessee. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of rumors that we can dive into and talk about. We didn't even get to Baker Mayfield. And I mean, there's just a lot of shit going on right now because we're ramping up for training camp. But we do not have the time to do that today because we really want to dive into some strategy today. We've been talking about a big league that we started over in our Discord, a 28-team Dynasty League, right? And let me just lay out the foundation of how we're going to discuss this. We're going to talk player values. We're going to look at some teams. We're going to have the people, the YouTube comments tell us what teams look the best in their opinion based off of the budget that these teams had. So it's a 28-team league. It's 14 teams on one side, 14 teams on the other side. It's the old Heisman tier members in our Discord, so the OGs, the highest tier that you can be at, patreon.com/allgas. It's 14 of the old heads. That's me. That's Jrich. That's Jordan Backus. That's Mike and Adam from 4D Chess. That's Gene from Off the Line Fantasy. Matt Bruening is an OG. So it's all of us versus the new Heisman tier members, the guys that just signed up a month ago, 2 months ago. I know Dynasty Barry, he's on the new Heisman side, and some other people that you all may be familiar with just by being a part of this group in the morning. So we did this big league, right? 14 teams on one side, 14 teams on the other side. The winner of each conference will face off for the ultimate championship, one new guy versus one old guy, for a pot of, I believe, $2,800, a custom Destination Debbie wrestling belt, like the real deal, not the Nerf plastic shit, the real deal, weekly payouts. This is a big league, man. So you've got to compete against 27 other league mates. You can trade between conferences. It's just chaos. So we did this auction style. And there's not a lot of strategy out there, Jay, on auction startups. And I do believe, and I don't know how you feel having gone through this exercise, I think auction is the superior way to do a dynasty startup. Now, 14-team leagues aren't my favorite particularly. They're challenging. 16-team leagues, there's no shot in hell I'm participating in one. I did one, and I hated it. 14 is like my threshold for league size, right? So it's challenging. The quarterback values are inflated. Normally, your team is going to look deficient at one area. Like some part of your team in a 14-team league is not going to look good. Now, I forgot to say it's double copy. So there's 2 Mahomes, 2 Herberts, 2 Jonathan Taylors, right? And shit, you can trade them all, right? But we just finished this, Jay, and I think the results were quite fascinating. So anybody out there thinking about starting, joining an auction league, I think it's the superior way to draft and a startup. There are a lot of takeaways, a lot of lessons, and we're going to show you guys the value, sort of show you what we paid for these players, show you 6 or 7 teams, and we don't have time to get through all 27, 28 teams, so we'll put the link in the description if you want to see what some of the other teams and the other rosters look like. Jay, real quick, what's just your overall takeaway for the people as we get into this exercise? What should they be paying attention to? How should they be looking at these teams in terms of, oh, this team was good, this team was bad?
I think the first thing you want to look at, most importantly, is how the tiers kind of shake out from just the overall player standpoint. We're used to looking at these players in tiers and taking them in rounds, but when you start allocating money to that, I think you have to approach them a little bit differently. And Ray, to kind of talk about your earlier point, I think that, while auctions are awesome and I love them, I think they are the best way to dynasty, but you really need a good active group. You can't just walk into an auction and have people kind of not showing up, not being there, because it just makes the process not as fun. We had a super active group, makes a big difference. I think you did mention this, but it was 2 separate drafts, right? So it's a double copy, but it's 2 completely separate drafts. Sorry. So we had the new guys up against the new guys and the old guys up against the old guys. So that posed its own problems, because if you see one player go off the board on one side for $100, then that kind of sets the market in the other drafts, and you kind of look back and forth as to how things shake out. We're not going to get into all of that, but it was interesting to see players go for different values in different leagues. And so I think it's important to remember that this is not a widespread, you can draft this player for this value, and this is where we would take them. Completely dependent on the league, your budget, and kind of how it shakes out. And you talked about this yesterday. Ultimately, when these guys get nominated impacts the price too, because money is available at different times. So there's so much that goes into it. We're going to break down kind of as much as we can today and explain our strategy, the different teams, and why we think some people were more successful than others at certain team builds and why, essentially, to really give you a feel for how the draft shook out and how we feel about it kind of heading into the offseason now.
Yeah, and to answer the question, no, you cannot hold 2 Josh Allens, 2 Jonathan Taylors. Can't do it. But 2 Josh Allens, 2 Herberts, 2 Mahomes can be on one available side trade, right? Of the conference, right? So let's get into it. Let's start out by looking at the quarterback values, and there are no teams associated with it. But let's just take a look at the top 13 quarterback values in this league. 14 teams, super flex, tight end premium, bunch of fucking bonuses. But here's how the quarterback shaked out. So we had 4 quarterbacks, and this is just the new Heisman side, right? This is just the old Heisman side, right, Jay? This is just
this is the OG side.
OG side. So this is me, Jrich, JB, Adam, Mike, 4D guys, Gene, Eric, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. The 4 quarterbacks that went for $300 or more. So 30% of your $1,000 budget allocated on those quarterbacks, right? So $1,000 start off budget for everybody, but you could trade startup money for future picks, right? So here we go. You got Joe Burrow coming in at the 5th highest priced quarterback, followed by Kyler, Dak, Trey Lance, Jalen Hurts, Derek Carr, Matt Stafford, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson at 205. Some notable names that you don't see up here. No Kirk Cousins. There's no Trevor Lawrence. There's no, obviously, none of the rookie quarterbacks from 2022 cracked the list. No Zach Wilson, no Mac Jones. Here goes how the top 13 quarterbacks played out. And I'll just say some teams have 2 of these players on their roster, and some of them paid for 2, some of them didn't. And we'll see how those teams kind of played out. But that is what the quarterback values on the OG side were for the quarterbacks. Jay, just looking at this number, best value of these top 13 right here.
Oh man, this is tough. Because I still think I got the best value in the draft.
Don't tell people who you have.
I'm not saying who okay, so the 2 that I saw that I really loved was Matt Stafford and Russell Wilson, because they went up on the board the same time as some of these other guys. But, we talked about this a long time ago, our top 12 quarterbacks, and they're in there. Like, they're top 10 guys. And, Russell Wilson has the potential to be a top 5 quarterback. Matt Stafford has the potential to be a top 5 quarterback. And you're getting them for 20% of your budget. Like, I just think that's too low. And some guys got some great values. Up at the top is where I struggle, right? You're getting the youth. You're getting, all these things. But, I mean, you didn't mention it, but like Justin Herbert, $375 for people who are listening to the podcast. It's difficult to make a team work, but again, once you pay that, you have Justin Herbert, and it makes a big difference. So that's part of the strategy too, is like, yes, you have to allocate money to that player, but once you have that player, you get that's the 4 first of value that you have to pay for Justin Herbert. So it's a lot that goes into it, but I think that Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, despite being a little bit older, were some great value. Trey Lance is one, I've talked about it a lot. It's tough for me to take him as a top 8 guy, because I don't know if the production is going to be there. So if it's not there, you're kind of struggling in that standpoint. And so you're a little bit hamstrung from a competing perspective. And in a league like this, man, I'm not trying to like sit back and rebuild. I'm trying to compete. I'm trying to win. And so that's, I think, was my kind of build going into it. I'm sure you kind of felt the same way with the way you were building.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into my build in a second, because mine was a little different than everybody else in the league. Most people in the league. So I think Russell Wilson at 205 was probably the best value on the board. I still like Hurts at 226. If you only had to pay $10 more and could get Jalen Hurts over Derek Carr, I don't mind that either. But I think Russell Wilson at 205, the best quarterback value on the board. So let's move to the running backs. RB values. What did the OGs pay for the running backs? Jonathan Taylor, 225. So 20% of your budget allocated on Jonathan Taylor, followed by Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift, Breece Hall, CMC, Cam Akers. Jay, Cam Akers coming in as RB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, RB 7 prices. J.K. Dobbins, RB 8 at 126. Saquon Barkley, 122. Derrick Henry, 121. Kenneth Walker, 106. Aaron Jones, 101. Joe Mixon, 100, or Cam Akers, 138. Easy Mixon.
The Cam Akers pick is one of the worst ones in the draft. Again, we all make mistakes, right? But right. That was a tough pill to swallow. And I think I want to point this out to the people. When I was doing these scoring projections, Derrick Henry was the number 1 player in the entire league, regardless of position. He scored 31 points per game, more than Josh Allen, more than Justin Herbert. So he was the guy I was targeting because, again, 121 for the number 1 player. I don't really care how old he is. You're getting him for $100 less than Jonathan Taylor, and he scores more points than Jonathan Taylor. So, again, all those things kind of factored in. But that was one of my favorite values for sure, was Derrick Henry, regardless of age. I loved the price for Derrick Henry there.
All right, the running backs under $100. Dalvin Cook, 98. Austin Eckler, 97. Nick Chubb, 94. ETN, 86. The only 80 player on the board, right in the 80s. Antonio Gibson, 79. Alvin Kamara at 73. What a steal. I still think this is one of the best values from the running backs. Jacobs at 63. Lenny Fournette at 62. Monty at 60, A.J. Dillon at 57, Zeke at 51, James Cook 45, and James Conner 41. We kind of talked about values. I think Joe Mixon was an incredible value. Alvin Kamara at 73, great value. What do you feel about James Cook being in there with as the rookie RB3 at 45, AJ Dillon at 57, Travis Etienne under $100? How do you feel about some of those guys under 100?
I like a lot of them. You know, Travis Etienne was a guy that I was in on. I liked the price there. Kamara, obviously, loved that price. Dillon was a guy that I was pissed I couldn't get. I just couldn't allocate any more money to him. I think he's going to be great this season. You know, you see Aaron Jones going for 101. Now, he went a little bit earlier, but get Dillon at 57. I think they both have a great shot at producing at similar levels. Maybe Jones a little bit higher because of the passing game, but I think both are going to be great this season. Ray, I have a question for you, actually, to throw it back to you quickly. But Tony Pollard actually went for $40 in this league. Yeah. So you talk about James Cook. Would you rather have James Cook $45 or Tony Pollard for $40?
Give me Cook. Give me the young dude. Give me Cook. Give me Cook. I believe. And here's the thing, people. I think the interesting thing about auction as we look at these values, man, it's when the players were nominated, right? When you get players that are nominated early, right, they always are going to go for more than the players that are nominated later. Like the budget's gone down. People have to penny pinch a little bit, but that's how the running back shaped out. So let's go to wide receiver values real quick because I want to get to some of the teams. I mean, this is wild. Jamar almost 200, yeah. Jefferson 185, Cooper Kupp 124, CeeDee Lamb 121, wide receiver 5, Drake London at 105. Yep. Wide receiver 5 as far as price. Drake London. I love Drake London more than anybody. There's no way on this planet I'm spending 10% of my budget on a rookie wide receiver who could bust. Like, we still don't know if he's going to be good. Debo, T. Higgins, AJ Brown round out the $100 players. You got DK Metcalf for 86, Waddle for 84, Adams for 80, Tyreek for 80. Treylon, same price as Tyreek and Devontae Adams. Rashad Bateman at 77. Garrett Wilson at 70. Joe, good morning to you. I see Joe just came in the building. You got to go back, Joe, and watch the first part of this. I laid like the whole thing out, the whole exercise, whole thing out. You'll want to rewind it, Joe. Go back and watch it. Keenan Allen 69, Terry McLaurin 66, A-Rob 64, Darnell Mooney 61, Mike Evans 56 down there, J-Mo 59. So this is what this is what we paid for the receivers, Jay. When I look at Treylon as the same price as Tyreek, Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle.
It's the rookies, man. The rookies are very highly priced in this league. And they did go up pretty early. So, like, Drake London, I think, was up even on the first day. So that's part of it. People don't know kind of what the value is. They're not really sure how things are going to shake out. But Mike Evans is probably one of my favorite values by far. $56 for a guy who will be a wide receiver 1 this season should be, you know, he could be 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. Like, I love Mike Evans this year. One of my favorite values. Actually, even still, like Mooney at 61, you know, behind Allen Robinson, McLaurin, Keenan Allen. I think, like we talked about, the targets will be there. I really like that value. I'm not sure. How do you feel about Deontay at 71?
Well,
he was a guy that I kind of wanted, but didn't go into it.
Let's keep it going, man, because we're pushing time. So let's keep it going. Pittman didn't make the list. I think it was just an oversight. It's a lot of players, but Pittman went for $86, I believe. I think Pittman was $86, so he'll be right there in that DK Metcalf, DJ Moore range. So he was permitted. He was omitted by accident, y'all. Pittman was $84 or $86. I'm almost positive that's where Michael Pittman Jr.'s value at. Just a little oversight, you know. It wouldn't be a Jrich graphic without some oversight in there somewhere, but Pittman was in the 80s, all right? Let's go to the tight ends and finish this up and get into the teams. Brace yourselves. Brace yourselves for the tight ends. All right. Kyle Pitts went for $209. Wow. 20% of the budget on a tight end. Mark Andrews, $161. Travis Kelce, $95. Darren Waller, $72. Hawkinson, $69. Schultz, $69. Goddard, Freiermuth, $55, $54 respectively. Then a big drop down. Mike Gesicki at $32. Noah Fant, Dawson Knox, Cole Kmet, all at $25. And then $23 for Albert Okwuegbunam. Okwuegbunam. Alberto, $23 for the tight ends, man. So, Jay, that's a high price for Kyle Pitts, man. That's a high price for Kyle Pitts.
Couldn't do it. Was in on Andrews. Couldn't do it for Pitts, though.
Couldn't do it. Yep, and no Kittle. Where's Kittle at? It's another Jrich oversight. It's okay. It's okay.
Why isn't Kittle on the list?
I don't know why Kittle's
what's
not on the list,
man?
but I think Kittle was a $80 or $90 player. $80 or $90.
He went for 100, I think.
Kittle went for 100. So Kittle over Travis Kelce. Ray G, show some context on why tight ends went as high as they did in this league. I'm telling you what the context is, man. This is auction. It's just when they get nominated, right? And it's some bonuses for tight end, but nothing ridiculous, right? But I think when people dynasty and they get in an auction, they try to pick a direction. They're like, I want to be productive struggle. I want all these rookies. I want all these young guys. And people drive the fucking price up on these players. And, people just continue to bid. 20% of your budget on a tight end. I just could not. You could have gotten Kelce over 2 times. Could have gotten 2 Travis Kelces for Kyle Pitts, man. Kyle Pitts cost more than Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He would have been the second highest priced running back, right?
Well, you think about he went for even more. Yeah, second highest priced running back, went for more than Russell Wilson. It's pretty crazy to see what happened with Kyle Pitts. Again, not the strategy I would take, but this is the problem, is that people, they don't know what the values are going to be towards the end, and they start paying up for some of these guys.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, they're holding the bag in the end, and it's not so good.
All right, so let's look at the teams, and as we look at the teams, we're going to pay attention to the budget. So we're going to start with Matt Bruening. Shout out Campus to Canton. Make sure you tap into their stuff. Here goes Matt Bruening's team. We all love Matt Bruening. He had a $1,000 budget, and here's what his team consists of. And he ended up trading for Justin Herbert, but this is what his team looks like. Justin Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, and Desmond Ridder at quarterback. 14-team league. That's awesome, right? Pretty good quarterback core. Tyler Algier, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Deontay Foreman, Melvin Gordon, Nyheim Hines, Damian Pierce, Trey Sermon, Abe Smith, and Jeff Wilson round out his running back room. Wide receivers, he's got the Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert stack. Robbie Anderson, Odell Beckham Jr., David Bell, Kenny Golladay, Tim Patrick, Michael Pittman Jr., Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson on his roster as well, along with Evan Ingram, Jeremy Ruckert, and Robert Tonyan. So tight ends, weak. Running backs, it's best ball. It will.
Yeah, it is best ball.
It'll do, right? Quarterback's really strong. Receiving core, nice. Like the receiving core. Pittman and Garrett Wilson and Tim Patrick and Keenan Allen should be solid for Matt Bruening. He had a $1,000 budget, so he had a full allotment of money, and this is the team he put together. What do you think about Bruening's team, Jrich?
I mean, I like it a little bit more after the trade, right? It's one of those things that you look at his team and you're like, damn, those running backs suck, but you just need as many shots as you can get, right? Like it's not going to be pretty throughout the season, but you hope that every week you get 2 of those guys, maybe 3 of those guys. You got Herbert and Rodgers anchoring your team. You got Keenan Allen, Kenny Golladay if he works out, Pittman. Like the thing with Bruening's team is he needs J-Mo and Garrett Wilson to be good. And then I think his team is very competitive. Tim Patrick will give him some weeks. I think he needs those 2 guys to come back and be really good. And that's what will set him apart from some of these guys, because he's got the elite talent up top at quarterback, but he needs to kind of fill in the roster. But that's the case with everybody, man. Like none of these rosters are perfect. Everyone has holes and things they need to figure out. And that's just part of the auction strategy, is how do you navigate these waters and work with the money that you have down the stretch.
Yeah, man. I think it's a solid team, man. The running backs, he desperately needs J.K. Dobbins, desperately, to be healthy and to be ready. So that's Bruening's team. Let's go to Mike's team, 4D Chess. Let's go to Mike, the Mcnutted. Make sure you tap into 4D Chess. I was listening to Mike's show last night because I am a patron. I'm a patron. He was talking about how much he doesn't like 14-team leagues either. He's not a fan of them. He'll play in them. It's the competition. It's the spirit. It's challenging, man. 14-team league is very different than a 12-team league, and a hell of a lot different than a 10-team league. But I thought that was a good job. And yes, people are asking. Somebody actually paid $375 for Justin Herbert and then traded him. Yes, he did. So let's look at Mike's team. Here's Mike's team. Mike had a $1,000 budget, and here's his team. Jacoby Brissett, Jared Goff, Marcus Mariota, Davis Mills, Matt Ryan, Ryan Tannehill, Carson Wentz, Tristan Ebner, Zeke Elliott, Darrell Henderson, Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, and Samaje Perine are the running backs. Wide receivers, Jamison Crowder, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Zay Jones, Terry McLaurin, John Mechie, Darnell Mooney, Amari Rodgers, and Laviska Shenault. Tight ends, Donald Parham, Drew Sample, and Adam Troutman. Now, while everybody is going to look at these quarterbacks and say these are god awful, which it is true, they are awful. In best ball, all you need is for these quarterbacks to be good like 2 weeks apiece, right? Like you just need Wentz to be good for 2 weeks. You need Tannehill to give you 3. You need Ryan to give you 4. Davis Mills give you 3. Mariota give you 2. Goff give you 4. Brissett give you 3. And he'll be able to roll out these 2 of these crappy quarterbacks every week. You know, these aren't quarterbacks that you're going to build a dynasty roster with long term, but best ball is a different animal. So I think this QB horde will work out for him this year for the quarterback position. I think he got incredible value with Alvin Kamara and Josh Jacobs and Ezekiel Elliott. He got all 3 running backs for under $100 a piece, which is fantastic value in best ball. Receivers, pretty solid with Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Terry McLaurin, Darnell Mooney. Tight ends are awful. His tight ends are awful, but he's got 3 good running backs for the next couple of years, some solid receivers, and hot dog water at quarterback that'll get him through this year. So what do you think about this team?
I mean, for Mike's team, it was simple, right? He waited on quarterback, and in some ways, he paid for it a little bit. You know, he paid a little bit more than he wanted to for some of these guys. He got stuck with a couple of guys. But at the end of the day, like, it's a 14-team league, and he has, 7 quarterbacks, maybe 6 quarterbacks if you don't want to count Jacoby Brissett. So he can make some moves. He can trade some guys. There's going to be teams that want to compete. They don't have enough quarterbacks. There's teams that only have 2 quarterbacks, so he can maybe make deals with them. But yeah, I think one of his big issues with his team is he got really screwed at tight end because he didn't have enough money to start bidding on some of the tight ends that were going, and ultimately ends up with basically, realistically maybe a 0 burger multiple weeks from the tight end spot. There's just not a whole lot you're going to get from those guys, but loved his receivers, loved the running back value that he found. It's just how do those quarterbacks work in season? It's a ton of shots on the dartboard, but we'll have to see kind of how it ultimately shakes out because, I look at Matt Ryan, Tannehill, Wentz as probably your core 3 guys you want to work every week. Maybe you get a Davis Mills or a Goff, but I mean, even with just Matt Ryan and Tannehill and Wentz, it's tough to predict a massive ceiling, but maybe he can get there with all those guys.
It's in a couple of years, he's going to be up. This is going to be interesting to see how he works this out because after this season, all of these quarterbacks could not have a job after this season. Like every last one of them, right? They could be backups. They could be out of the NFL, every last one of them. So it's going to be interesting to see how he works that. Zeke, we really don't want him, but we know he's going to get a bunch of volume. Jacobs and Kamara, a little bit older. I like the receivers. Tight end is bad. It's going to be interesting to see how he works this one out. I do think the QB horde here will work out in his favor, but you still got to
those trading partners,
at the other
right?
Positions, right? But I just wanted to defend the quarterback build for a second, and Mike had a $1,000 budget to start. So now we're going to look at our boy JB, Jordan Backus. He runs the analytics over here at DD. If you're sub to the Patreon, he puts out dope information for us weekly during the season. So let's look at Jordan Backus' team. JB, he had a big stack. He had $11.25 to start. So he had one of the highest budgets to begin with. You could trade, people were trading first rounders for money. JB traded his 23 first to get 125 additional startup dollars, which gave his budget $11.25. And this is what he did with that $11.25. Teddy Bridgewater, Taylor Heineke, Kyler Murray, and Russell Wilson as quarterbacks. Running backs, Breece Hall, Keenan Nwangwu, Keyshawn Vaughn, Jamal Williams, Javonte Williams, and Kyron Williams at running back. Receiver, Braxton Berrios, Will Fuller, T. Higgins, DeAndre Hopkins, CeeDee Lamb, Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, Laquan Treadwell, and Sterling Shepard. Tight ends, Pat Freiermuth, O.J. Howard, Trey McBride, and Cade Otton. What do you think about this team?
It started real hot.
It did start hot.
And then he kind of had to take a back seat, right?
Yeah.
He quickly got Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Breece Hall, Javonte Williams.
And then he was out.
And T. Higgins was the other one. And then he was just like, he had no money, right? It was difficult. He's got a top-heavy team, super high ceiling from a lot of those guys, but it's how does he fill in the rest of those roster spots that we have to play every week? But it's a stars and scrubs lineup. It could work. It's not the way that I always like to build, but it's at least when I give JB a lot of credit, he has a ton of trade value on this team. Like there's a bunch of players that if he wants to blow it up, people will want to trade a lot to get them. And I think that's where a stars and scrubs lineup isn't the worst scenario, because he's got guys that he can trade for multiple first-round picks and all these types of things. So I do like the build from a stars and scrubs standpoint. It's just difficult to win a 14-team best ball with a stars and scrubs lineup overall.
Yeah, and I figured YouTube would like it because of the names. You see Kyler, you see Breece, you see Javonte, you see Higgins, you see Lamb. What I see is a top-heavy team that doesn't have the depth to go 25. Like, it's going to be tough, man. Like, and that's just, and if you haven't played in a lot of best ball league, it's going to be tough. Like, those stars are definitely going to help propel these teams, up. But you've got to have depth, and I think it's just lacking the depth. After Breece and Javonte, I think he had another running back, Jay. I think you need to check JB's team and make sure. I thought he had 3 good young running backs. Like, I feel like this is not accurate for JB. But T. Higgins, CeeDee Lamb. The receivers are T. Higgins and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you got Berrios, Nuke when he comes back. I think it's fine. I think it's
that's it for his team. Those are
okay. That's it. I think it's fine. We'll see if the depth is going to be able to play out though. Thought it was a solid team for JB. If I had 11-25, I would have built a fucking monster. I promise you that. But I did not have 11-25. We'll see what I had to start with at the beginning in a second. Let's go to Adams. Yeah, Joe, I don't like the tight ends either. But let's go to Gene's team. Gene's team. So 40 off the line. Here goes Eugene's team. He's got Matt Stafford and Lamar Jackson. Filthy, filthy quarterback room. I mean, just one of the best quarterback rooms in the entire league, entire 28 teams. Running backs, Eno Benjamin, Snoop Connor, Dalvin Cook, Khalil Herbert, Rashad Penny, B-Rob, and DeAndre Swift. So you got 2 studs in there with Cook and DeAndre Swift. Penny apparently is the lead back in Seattle, so you got that. Receivers, DJ Chark, Corey Davis, Devin Duvernay, Russell Gage, AJ Green, Van Jefferson, Jerry Jeudy, Jarvis Landry, Devontae Parker, and Robert Woods. Tight ends, Mark Andrews, Daniel Bellinger, Tyler Higbee, Ricky Seals-Jones, and Irv Smith Jr. What do you think about Gene's team, man? I thought he put together for what he had to work with, man. I thought he put together a decent squad, man.
Yeah, Gene did a great job. He did have 1151 budget. So
let's talk his budget.
That's significant, right?
He too. This is key, you guys. He had 1151. 1151.
Right. So, I mean, I love that he got the Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews stack. I was not happy about that during the draft. The issue for him was the wide receivers fell a little bit short for me. He spent a lot on a couple guys, and that kind of short stacked him down the stretch. But overall, he has a good team, and a few of those guys can come through every week. Like, Russell Gage getting pumped every day in the news, it seems. I think he's got a great shot. And then on top of that, having Matt Stafford, Lamar Jackson just keeps your team next level, high ceiling, right? So I like the team he built. I think it's good. But like you mentioned, 1151 budget. He didn't quite get the value he hoped. But paying 301 for Lamar Jackson, paying, I think it was 210 for Matt Stafford makes it tough when you're spending that much money on those guys, right?
214 for Stafford and 307 on Lamar. So he spent 50% of his budget on two quarterbacks. But again, the depth, what's going to happen? The receiving core is, in my opinion, the weakest part of this team is the wide receiver room, right?
It's fine, right? Just a lot of shots in the dark. Some older guys, like Devontae Parker could be the one. Robert Woods could be the one,
Yep.
We'll see what kind of happens with these guys. Jerry Jeudy should see a ton of targets, right? Van Jefferson might
Russell
catch touchdown
Gage
here or there, right?
Russell Gage
too. See a ton of targets. So it's not that they're bad, right? And even Duvernay, like, that's sneaky when you have.
I like
Lamar.
it in best ball. Yeah.
If Lamar throws a touchdown to Duvernay, that's big points for you, right? So I do like the build overall. He found some great pieces. It's just that wide receiver room is a little bit weaker for me, but that's just how he chose to build it. And I think he still has a great competitive team overall.
I think he's got a solid team as well, man. And what he can do is try to. I mean, he can move some players and try to improve that wide receiver room if he wants to. So good job by Gene. Let's go to Adam, the other half of the 4D chess guys. Adam had a higher stack budget. He had $30 extra. So he started off with $1030. So Adam started off with $1030, and he walks away with Trevor Lawrence, Drew Lock, Kenny Pickett as his quarterbacks, Chase Edmonds, Joe Mixon, Tony Pollard, and Kenneth Walker at running back. Wide receivers, Ayuk, Tyler Boyd, Hollywood Brown, Paris Campbell, Chris Godwin, KJ Hamler, Julio Jones, Tyler Lockett, Juju Smith-Schuster, Adam Thielen, Kadarius Toney, Sammy Watkins, and Cedric Wilson hammered wide receivers in the auction. And he's got the best tight end room, I think, in the league. Kittle, Chiggy, Albert O, and Darren Waller are his tight ends. I think he has the best tight end room. He's got tons of options at wide receiver. Adam did make a trade yesterday, so he traded Joe Mixon with Cam Akers straight up. So he's got Cam Akers instead of Joe Mixon. Chase Edmonds, Tony Pollard, Kenneth Walker. Good running backs, but he's only got 4, man. He's only got 4 wide receivers, man. He's only got 4 running backs, man. He's only got 4 running backs. So Adam's going to have to do something there. I do believe he has his first-round pick next year. What are your thoughts on Adam's team?
It's the one-sidedness of it, right? When I was building it out, he's the only team where I had to legitimately change the font size for his team to show the wide receivers. It's just, for me, it's tough to build a team that's so one-sided, like to have no running backs and a few quarterbacks. Like, we want Trevor Lawrence to be good. Kenny Pickett should be fine. But to really only have Joe Mixon and Kenneth Walker, now Cam Akers and Kenneth Walker, it's just tough, man. I think we're still starting 2 running backs in this league. And it's tough, man. You got to have more options than that. I get what he was doing with the wide receivers and the tight ends. They're going to be great. Like, they'll be flexed. They'll be great. But I'm curious how it works out with the running backs, knowing that you only got 4 options right now. And you can't really move some of those wide receivers for running backs. It's just not easy moves to make in this league format. But maybe he can make some of those moves and make his team a little bit better and more balanced overall.
Yeah, man. And just for because I don't think we said it, Eric has got it right here. It's 1 quarterback, 1 super flex. So you're trying to start 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 3 flex spots. So those are the roster setups. Jrich, let's get into your squad, which I think you definitely have one of the better quarterback rooms as well, along with Gene. Let's get into your team, Jrich. So Jrich, like to see all that green there. He's got Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott as his quarterbacks. Very good. Would like to see a little more depth there, but very good. Very good quarterback room. Leonard Fournette, Duke Johnson, Ronald Jones, Anthony McFarland, Cordero Patterson, Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, Devin Singletary, Zamir White, and Darrell Williams as his running backs. Wide receivers, Devontae Adams, A.J. Brown, Michael Gallup, Lil Jordan Humphrey, K.J. Osborne, DPJ, Byron Pringle, Cortland Sutton, my man Tyquan Thornton, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, the number 2 wide receiver in Tennessee, Dan Arnold, Harrison Bryant, and Dallas Goedert for Jrich's squad. Jrich, you had a short stack. You had a $950 budget. So you did not have, and you traded this inside the draft, but you had a little smaller of a budget, right? You didn't have as much money to work with. And yet I still think you built a solid team, man. I love your quarterbacks. I think you've got, Fournette. We'll see what Rojo can do. It's best ball. Miles Sanders, best ball. Patterson, best ball. Singletary, Zamir. Running back room, we'll see. Adams, A.J. Brown. You get the Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown stack. Cortland Sutton, receivers. Jay, how do you feel about this team when you were typing it out? You see it amongst the other teams. How do you feel about this? And Lindsey Mack said, why -50? He traded $50 for a second-round pick in 23. So
yeah, I just got some extra draft equity there because I knew I had some extra money, so I figured I would just trade it for some draft equity. But overall, I think the team is okay. What I like about it is I think I have starters, right? I have Adams, Brown, Sutton, to start my wide receivers. I have my 2 quarterbacks. I have Fournette, and hopefully one of those, like for me, it was just take 1,000 shots as running back. I don't care who it is, like just get cheap guys that you can hope one of those guys works out to be your second running back. Obviously, massive Eagles stack. If the Eagles are good, my team is going to be good with Goddard, Hurts, and Brown, and Miles Sanders, and Boston Scott. So there's a lot of things that I found value in that Eagles stack. I got Hurts for pretty cheap. And then, even Tyquan Thornton, a decent best ball pick. Byron Pringle, who may find a role in Chicago, may not be a great role. And then KJ Osborne, a guy that I've told you about that I really, really like this year. We'll see what happens with Thielen, but he was heavily involved. He had 83 targets last season. I just really like the way he could shake out as another flex option. So I like it, man. I think it's a good team. I think there's still work to be done, but I think I set a good foundation for what I could do in the future.
What about that Anthony McFarland pick?
Hey, man, if they're going to take away snaps from Najee Harris, I'm like, who's going to be the guy? It's gonna be. I got him for like $2, man. Why not?
You wasted $2, but you put together a good team, Jrich. I thought you put together a good team. I do think you need the Adams, Brown.
It's the running back room, right?
Yeah,
it's the running back room. For
the running back room, probably a little bit, right? Just a little bit in the running back room, but not much, man. Like if you could flip Devontae Adams for a tear down at receiver and get a couple of pieces back, I think that would be awesome for you. So. All right, man. My team, let's talk about my team because I had a handicap that only one other person on the new side had. I traded for 2 first-round picks in 2023. So another key wrinkle in this league is you only get 1 year of future draft picks to trade. So all we had was 2023 picks to work with, 1 through 4.
We call that the Jrich rule around here.
What'd you say?
I said we call that the Jrich rule because I trade all my picks for future
players. We implemented this.
You had to handicap me.
We implemented this for Jrich because this son of a bitch will get into a draft and literally trade every pick for players. And we said the Jrich rule, we're not doing that. Only 2023 picks. So I traded 250 startup auction dollars. Jay, I started the auction with $750, which was a significant handicap. $750. That's all I had, man. And here's the team that I put together with $750. The auction startup value, you saw players, gamers with $1,000, $1,100, $1,050. I had $750 to work with. And here we go. Quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Sam Howell, Baker Mayfield, Malik Willis. Running backs, Michael Carter, Tyrion Davis-Price, A.J. Dillon, Damian Harris, Marlon Mack, David Montgomery, Ramondre Stevenson, and Rachaad White are my running backs. Wide receivers, Kendrick Bourne, Jahan Dotson, Christian Kirk, Alan Lazard, Drake London, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, Amir Smith-Marset, Jalen Tolbert, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, John Bates, TJ Hawkinson, and David Njoku rounded out my tight end room. $750 budget. I traded for Drake London and DJ Moore. I traded one of my 3 first-round picks to get Drake London and DJ Moore. I ended up winning Derek Carr and then flipped Carr for Justin Fields. I traded for Baker Mayfield. I had Amon-Ra St. Brown, traded to get Baker Mayfield. I had to get some fucking dart throw quarterbacks, so who knows what Howell and Malik Willis will be, but my quarterback room is by far, I think, the weakest part of this team. Fingers crossed Justin Fields is good and Baker Mayfield gets traded. Running backs, I like the running back room. TDP, A.J. Dillon, Damian Harris, Montgomery, White, Stevenson. Receivers, I think I did pretty solid there. And tight ends, I thought that was fine. So, Jay, what do you think about this? Nope, I did not. I didn't pay that price for Drake London, Joe. I didn't pay that price. Jay, I'll let you take.
Were thinking that.
I'll let you take this. I'll let you take this analysis, man.
I think you did a good job. I think the biggest thing, like you said, is the QB room. You need Fields to be good, and if he's not good, you're in big trouble, right? You have A.J. Dillon, you have David Montgomery to round out your running backs, which is great, and then you have a lot of shots at wide receiver. I think it's going to depend on kind of how you can manufacture that QB room, because like you mentioned, you're already trying to move some pieces around. You moved Carr, which was surprising to me because I figured he could be your anchor quarterback and you can maybe trade for somebody else. But obviously you got Drake London and DJ Moore for very, very cheap. We're not going to get into who you traded with to get that done, but you did take advantage of someone who was tilting hard in the middle of the draft. You have a good tight end room. You have good wide receivers. I think you have a good team. It's just how do you navigate the quarterback situation? You were short stacked and you definitely let the people know that multiple times as a little hedge. But overall, I think you did a good job.
Yeah, man. I mean, but I think it's important though, man. I mean it sincerely. If you gave me $1,100, I would have smashed this draft. There's no doubt. And I think the big lesson for me, Jay, is being short stacked. It made me patient because I knew that I couldn't bid on, I knew I couldn't get Herbert and Allen and Mahomes. So I didn't even bother. The first 2 days of the auction, I had won 0 players, man. I had nobody. Everybody else was winning players. I had nobody. I just had to sit back. I couldn't buy Taylor. I was out. You see, I don't have any of those running backs. No $100 running back on the roster, right? When you look at the wide receivers, I got Drake London, but I didn't pay that for him. I don't have any of the any of the receivers on the left-hand side. Like, I don't even have those kind of values. So, to be 750 in, I think I got a pretty good team, man. I think this is a pretty good team. I've got 2 first-rounders for 2023, everybody asking. Yeah. So I ended up with 3. I had 3 to start. I've got 2 right now. So my quarterback situation, what I'm hoping is I can hit in the lottery and get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young or Will Levis or Tyler Van Dyke or Anthony Richardson to help that quarterback room. I am a big believer in Justin Fields. I think he's going to take a step forward. We talked about it in the Discord last night. I think Baker Mayfield's still one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think he's going to have a job somewhere. Maybe not long-term security, but bridge quarterback.
Near future, for sure.
A deal like Mitch Trubisky got, right, where he's a bridge quarterback, 2 years here. I think he'll be there. So ultimately, that's what I put together with 750, one of the shortest stacks in the entire auction. And you just got to be patient. You have to have discipline, and you got to be diligent in roster construction after the fact to try to make some trades to improve your team. And that's one thing I don't fuck around with. So a lot of good teams in this league. There are 21 other teams that we did not get a chance to review. Eric V, who's in the chat, he's my boy. He's an OG Heisman member. I know he walked away with Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Jameis Winston, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, and Stephon Diggs as the core of his team. So, again, just those names I just rattled off from his team. Strong win-now team. JR, we're going to link the board in the description if people want to go look at
it for sure.
Yeah, we'll link the board. There's a whole nother side of 14 teams that we did not get a chance to analyze. This is what we did. So we're going to kind of follow this throughout the season, see who wins the belt. Once we get the belt in, we'll show the belt off. But this is going to be a fun league, highly competitive, a lot of twists and turns and wrinkles in this league. Jay, auction, big one. I thought it went well, man. I thought this was a good exercise. And here's the thing, man. These values and prices, this shit means absolutely nothing when you get into your auction. Nothing. Because every auction it's not like ADP. Every auction is different. Everybody values these players differently. We've been talking about, is there any way to put together a template, a formula for people to be better at auction? I don't know. We haven't figured that out yet. But we'll see, man. I thought this was a good exercise, and I'm excited to see how this league plays out.
Yeah, man. It's like you said, right? Auctions are awesome. They're a ton of fun, especially this one. Like 50 players on the board at one time, bids flying around like crazy, guys getting bid up and all this stuff. It was just a ton of fun overall. Would highly recommend someone do it if they've never tried it because it was so fun. But yeah, there's a lot of strategy. You have to be super patient, diligent, be in there, really looking at how you view these players relative to their value. Because to me, that was my biggest takeaway, Ray, was as much as I loved the younger players, they were drastically overvalued relative to the production I can get from an older guy. And for me, when I'm in an auction, I am paying for production, right? That's what I'm building my team around, is production and how they can produce for me during the season. It's very different when you're doing a snake draft where you're not betting on that. You're just taking players where their average draft position is and kind of betting that way. In a lot of ways, auction is very different in that sense, but I would highly recommend someone try it if you've never tried it. And I think this can give you an idea of the different ways you can build, how you can allocate your money, and various ways that you can succeed. You see some good teams, some bad teams, and different ways you can build a roster. But I think we showed you guys a few different ways that you can ultimately build in auctions. And I think the key is just be diligent and be patient, because it's going to take a while, but patience is everything. If you can afford to be patient and not always spend up for that top guy, you can find some value. And I think we showed you that today.
You want to put a bet which team finishes higher, mine or yours? You think your team's better than mine?
Yeah, I think my team's better than yours. I don't think the people would disagree. They may just say that you did more with your money, but that's because you made a trade that
whose team's better
have been made.
Whose team's better? This team? Jrich's team?
I mean, my team is better. I don't think that's really debatable.
Is Jrich's team better, or is RayGQue's team better? If the people out there, let us know in the comments whose team's better. We'll put a, Jay, we're going to start. Y'all got DoorDash in Canada, right? Like DoorDash.
Yeah.
We're going to start doing dinner bets because you don't pay up any Topo bets. So we're just going to be like, DoorDash me something to eat
any cash
now,
yet, so you can't say that.
Son of a gun. All right, man. Let's get out of here. You know, Friday we were gonna do prop value things for wide receivers, but I think I really want to dive into some of the news, Jay. I really want to talk about the fallout for Dobbins. We might get some Watson news, what this means for Gronk and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and how we should be valuing Mike Evans this season and maybe moving forward. I think there's a lot of news items that we need to talk through. So let's do that, man.
Yeah, I'm down with that. We'll do a big news show, talk about that. And yes, Joe, this is for money. It's for a big prize pool, weekly prize pools, big payouts. It's going to be a big one for sure.
Joe,
it was for $100 buy-in?
Yeah, it was $100 buy-in. We're doing weekly payouts, the high score on both sides. We're doing conference final championship money prizes, and then the big pot is like $2,000 and a custom metal, not the plastic Nerf shit, like a real custom engraved Destination Devy championship belt to the winner. Losers got to pay for shipping of that bitch to the winning team every year. So it's for money. It's for a lot of pride. It's a tight-knit group, a lot of egos in there. You see some of the names that we talked about, a lot of sharp minds on both sides of the ledger, man. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to track this one, but I appreciate y'all hanging with us, man. I appreciate y'all hanging with us today and going through this. Hopefully it encourages some people out there to try an auction. Love it. 24-hour clock is brutal. And for those people who think it lasts for months, what did we finish the draft in a week and a half, 2 weeks, and we're done with the draft? Not even 2 weeks, man. Not even two full weeks, and we're done with the draft. So it doesn't take as long as people think, and that was with 28 damn teams drafting. So we appreciate you tapping into the content. Hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, use the promo code WAKEUP on Prize Picks. Check out all the dope content on the lineup, 4D, Off the Line, what me and Jrich are doing every single day. Tell your friends about it. Sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/allgas. Enjoy your Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday. We love you. We out. Peace.